Up on Mountain News this morning, 75 years later, and a community is still looking for answers in a brutal murder case. And a recent arrest in Louisville has prompted statewide talk of changing the law to protect animals.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 5:30 on Friday, June 28th. Now let's go on ahead and send it over to meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast this morning.
And a look right now that you absolutely love by day's end. Oh, we're back in the heat and humidity. 61 outside our door here at WYMT. The visibility lowering a bit further, and officially about 5-mile visibility as you end up leaving Hazard down into Harlan. Otherwise, the reporting station is not too bad right now. Temps 60s. Oh, it's feeling fine. Down to 57 now at Clintwood. Check out Irvin at 59.71 though at Lexington. So needless to say, as you make your way back into central and western Kentucky, yeah, that warmth and humidity has already been on the rise, and that will continue to spread over eastern and southern Kentucky over the next few hours. Don't worry about these clouds to the north. You can see some of the clouds starting to drift up from Tennessee, and that's the way things will continue to go as we head through your TGIF. Lots of sunshine today, increasingly humid, a high near 90 with the risk of a shower or thunder shower as we head through the middle and the latter half of the afternoon. The weekend forecast into July coming up in a few moments. Olivia.
All right, thank you, Tim. A Paintsville man has been sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in prison after committing a federal hate crime. According to court documents, Brian Adams reportedly joined a Louisiana 5th grade class on Zoom in October 2020. Adams joined the classroom with a name resembling a racial slur. He then joined under a different name, calling teachers and students slurs, adding that he would hang them by a tree. Adams is to report to prison next month. In Whitley County, a Tennessee man has been sentenced to 20 years in prison after officials with the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office say he intentionally struck a KSP detective while trying to get away from authorities. Tommy Kemper was convicted on multiple charges, including attempted murder in Whitley Circuit Court. It happened when Kemper was involved in a pursuit involving a stolen vehicle. A man convicted of murder in Pulaski County has been sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Back in May, Samuel Baker was found guilty of murder and first-degree burglary in the death of 62-year-old Robert Claunch. Following his conviction, the jury recommended he serve life in prison without parole. His defense requested a lesser sentence. However, the judge rejected that request and sentenced Baker to the jury's recommendation. 2 arrests have been made in the connection with a homicide case in Lee County, Virginia. Christopher Holman of Florida and Amos Lee Hall were taken into custody by the Suwannee County Sheriff's Office in Florida. Police have also obtained a felony arrest warrant for Virginia Redden of Virginia. The arrest stemmed from an investigation conducted by Virginia State Police into the death of Jerry Wheat. The incident happened back in April. It has been 75 years since Merrill Baldridge was murdered in Prestonsburg. Reports say she was beaten, hit 5 times in the head, and left to die on the riverbank. But as WYMT's Buddy Forbes tells us, decades later, the motive and murderer are still unknown.
People that I interviewed asked me, "Are you ever going to do anything about Merle Baldridge?" And I said, "Well, who's Merle Baldridge?"
The story of Merle Baldridge is shared in memories. The home where she once lived and the bridge her feet once walked across. Nothing but faded markers of a 75-year-old cold case.
It's a very poignant anniversary and a stark reminder that the case will likely never, ever truly be solved.
The 17-year-old Prestonsburg cheerleader was found dead June 27, 1949. Reports say she was beaten and left dead on the riverbank near the now historic West Prestonsburg Bridge. A discovery made by a bus driver that marked the beginning of a decades-long search for the truth, complete with false confessions and more questions than answers.
I believe the people responsible took this to their grave. And also, unfortunately, the primary evidence was burned right after the trial, which would make a DNA identification pretty much impossible nowadays.
Author Michael Crisp was introduced to the story in 2010 and spent the following months devoted to compiling research to share with others.
She was a wonderful young lady. She was only here on this earth 17 years. And so we wanted to bring her back to life to let people get to know her who never had the chance.
Chronicling chapter after chapter about the slaying, suspects, suspicions, and slow fate of the investigation.
They wanted to see justice for Merle. And they knew, as old as the case was, right when I started with the book, that it would likely never happen. At the very least, what we wanted to do was tell Merle's story.
Saying though the case may never see its closing chapter, the book will always share the mystery of Merle Baldridge. In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Crisp says it was a blessing to be able to put the book together, and he has received a lot of feedback from people during the last decade about his role in keeping the story alive, even if it will never be solved. You can find his book online. A dogfighting arrest is sparking new conversations on changing state law to protect animals. Louisville police arrested Kareem Garner last week for dogfighting and animal cruelty. Investigators say he was a major player in the dogfighting world. The group Animal Wellness Action is hoping to make punishments more severe.
This law, if passed, would cause the perpetrator, the person who's convicted, to be able to lose his property, right? So it's one thing to face a fine and maybe a little jail time if that ever happens. But when these people start losing their Chargers and their Escalades or whatever else they're driving, then they'll start to take notice.
The bill is called Fighting Inhumane Gambling and High-Risk Trafficking, or the FIGHT Act. The group is trying to get it passed at the state and national level. One person is facing charges after police found drugs inside a vehicle. On Monday, deputies with the Floyd County Sheriff's Department were in the Toller Creek area when they pulled a vehicle over driven by 46-year-old Devania Bradford. Deputies later discovered crystal meth, a meth pipe, digital scales, and some plastic baggies. Bradford was taken to the Floyd County Jail. A Laurel County man is behind bars after police found suspected meth on him. It happened Tuesday night at Brockminton Road, about 10 miles from London. Laurel County Sheriff's Office deputies were conducting an investigation in the area. They determined 23-year-old George Philpott had suspected meth in his possession. He was taken to the Laurel County Correctional Center. And also in Laurel County, police say a scam has occurred where the caller identifies themselves as a sheriff's deputy. The caller is telling citizens to pay bond money regarding a legal issue. According to police, the person is also telling people to pay money to take care of the issue. If you get such a phone call, you should report this scam to the sheriff's office. Police also say do not give out personal information or send money. The Surgeon General of the United States declared gun violence a public health crisis earlier this week. In eastern Kentucky, officials say they are doing what they can to promote safe firearm use. Corbin police say it is important to teach your child gun safety if you are in a home with a firearm. They say proper storage should be a top priority. One officer tells us what you should remember if you own a gun.
There's multiple people that'll still offer carry concealed weapon classes, and in those classes they go over how to properly handle and safely conduct yourself while using weapons. Concealed carry license are still an option. It's not that we just got rid of them. We still honor them. Sheriff's Department will still issue concealed carry weapon license.
Workers at Center Target Firearms and Range in Laurel County say they teach multiple classes for gun users. They also have different options to safely store your firearm. The Safer Kentucky Act takes effect in July. Lawmakers passed it in April after a veto from Governor Beshear. It includes harsher punishments for serious crimes. It also criminalizes camping in public, which many homeless advocates condemn. A Kentucky Center for Economic Policy study shows that putting more people in jail could come with a cost of $1 billion. Supporters say the act is meant to protect honest Kentucky citizens and deter others from committing violent crimes. Kentucky businesses and medical practitioners will soon be able to apply for medical marijuana licenses. Businesses can apply for a license beginning July 1st through August 31st. Some medical professionals looking to be authorized to write medical cannabis certifications will also be allowed to apply. Patients won't be able to apply for a medical cannabis card until 2025. And still to come, the Supreme Court rejected a landslide settlement that would have sent money to thousands of families affected by the opioid epidemic.
Gorgeous start to the day. Beautiful sunrise looking to the east. Can we finish in the same way? We'll let you know. The First Alert 7-day forecast is coming up right after this.